We're live.
Right. Well, how are we doing, guys? Today we got a special guest. So how about you introduce yourself?
Hi, my name is Shannon Sylvia, and I have appeared on numerous television shows to do with paranormal investigating and paranormal events.
Awesome.
I would.
this is actually our second attempt at this podcast. The
Yeah.
first time we had major technical difficulties, so it's good to have you back.
Thank you for having me back. Sorry about that.
I don't
Oh
worry.
God, no, don't worry. We've had 2 or 3 podcasts now with big technical difficulties
Oh
as well.
Yeah, I think 2
It's-
podcasts ago it was so bad we were questioning whether to upload it.
Yeah,
So
I'm hoping that this just goes forward today with no problems. Like, which it's so far so good, right?
yeah,
Oh
Yes.
yeah, so
we're,
far
we're
so
we're a minute in and so far so good. So
good.
Okay.
let's keep going. So I guess we'll start from the beginning. You grew up in a haunted home.
I did.
So
I
what was
did.
that like?
Kind of sucked. It caused
Kind
some
of.
problems later on in life. um, a lifetime of insomnia and having to sleep with a pillow over my head. So what was it like? Growing up in a haunted house, there's a lot of confusion. I was born in the 70s, so we didn't have social media or internet. So when something happens like that in your home, you can't exactly just reach out to somebody and ask them a question or try to get a consultation with another paranormal investigator. So um, there was a lot of confusion growing up, and I was really scared a lot of times. And my extremely Catholic family did not want to ever discuss the issues that were happening ever. So it was just tumultuous the whole time. It was just tumultuous until I left that house.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, doesn't sound fun.
Yeah. This.
Um,
Whatever.
so like, what kind of stuff was going on? Like doors opening, seeing shadow people. Like,
All kinds of
what was
things.
going on?
I never actually saw shadow people in that house, but my little sister did when she was roughly 10 years old, I believe. Everything was going on. I mean, from an early age, I was plagued with really, really bad nightmares. My mother told me that my brother and I, he's 4 years older than me. And one evening, we both ran into my mother's bedroom saying that we had a dream. We both had the same dream that our body was covered in snakes. And that's something you guys don't have that often in Ireland, correct?
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
no snakes here.
Little St. Patrick with that one.
Yeah, sound
um,
out to that
you
guy.
know, so I remember nightmares from when I was a little kid, and there were some instances where a woman in black, dressed in black from head to toe, kept approaching my mother. She approached my mother when I was uh, flatlining in a hospital. I had pneumonia when I was just a couple years old, and I actually died on the table. And a woman approached my mother. The same woman approached my mother in church when my mother was receiving the sacrament of communion, and they were in line waiting to go greet the priest and get the communion. And this same woman appeared to my mother, and there were just things that were happening. Of course, too young for me to remember, but the nightmares started, and then footsteps would occur all the time in my home. They would come from the basement, and as I got older, we experienced a lot of different things in the home. There was a lot of conflict in the house. My dad left when I was little. My mom was a single mother trying to raise 3 kids, and there was just a lot of stress in the house. I think the stress was causing a lot of what was going on in the atmosphere. But it wasn't until I was in my probably around 13 or 14 did I really start experiencing poltergeist activity in the home. And there was all kinds of things happening at that point, but I never actually physically saw anything happen, other than hearing things moving, hearing things crashing, breaking, things disappearing, footsteps, and lots of voices all the time, but never actually physically saw anything materialize in front of my face. Thank God. I mean, really, that's the one thing I probably couldn't.
Yeah. In preparation for this, I watched a lot of stuff like for paranormal investigators and stuff like that. And anytime you see like a little head peeks around the corner or something like that, that is the most terrifying thing ever. Now, I'm sure
It's
not
the
all of
element
them are
surprise.
real,
Yeah,
but like
the element of
if
surprise.
if something like that was real or you seen that, oh my God.
Yeah,
You
and
know,
I've had that happen to me numerous times with my experiences paranormal investigating. Like when I was overseas, we would see little things like that all the time. And you do get a thick skin when it happens over and over again, I'll tell you. But I mean, I've watched a rocking chair in a haunted bed and breakfast in New York. I watched a rocking chair. It was with many, many people, and it was just rocking by itself back and forth for several minutes. It wouldn't stop.
that's
And I got to
terrifying.
tell you, it was like the first time I'd ever seen anything like that. And we were all so scared. Nobody reached for their phone. Nobody recorded it because we were afraid if we moved that it would just disturb it. And it was the most fascinating thing I'd ever seen. It was as if somebody was sitting in that chair just rocking back and forth, and there was no way it was a hoax. No way in hell. It was legit. But you see these things quite a bit later on in life. The more you're doing it, and then it just turns into coolness and not necessarily something so scary.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
You know, like people have tried to like prove the existence of ghosts, like basically forever.
Yep.
What do you think it would take to actually prove it? Like for everyone to be
Oh.
convinced, okay, these things are real. What do you think it would
Wow,
take?
that's a great question. No one's ever asked me that. What would it take? It would have to be like a real live scenario of an apparition possibly speaking with people back and forth in a controlled setting. So, um, with people recording, with audio, with video, with reputed people in the community, it'd have to be in a setting where no one can step back and say, oh, that's being faked right now. That's a hologram being cast from a camera somewhere. It's got to be, it would have to be something in a controlled environment. It would have to be in this day and age, like a laboratory in an institute. You know what I mean? Not just someone's basement. Nobody would believe it. Nobody would believe. Look at all the videos on YouTube, and I don't believe
Yeah.
99.9% of them. Everyone's like, "Oh, this is a true video of a Japan ghost in the street." They're all so bad. But technology has allowed us to fake an awful lot of things. But I mean, in my opinion, that would just be the only thing that could possibly prove it is having reputable skeptics and investigators there, and not TV investigators, not people like me. I'm talking like scientists. You know what I mean?
Scientists
Oh, yeah,
putting
no.
their name on the line kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, you can't have the TAPS people just sitting in the room going, "Oh yeah, that's a ghost." Because I mean, no, it's just going to be legit. And I
One guy at the
don't
side
know
of
if
the
it's
room
ever going to
blowing
happen.
something. Oh, it moved.
Yeah.
Mm.
Did you see that? Did you see that? Yeah, it would have to be something really, really cool. But I hope in my lifetime that we can prove that ghosts exist. I really, actually, honest to God, think that we've already proved it. I've seen enough with my own two eyes, but like, who cares what I think? You know what I mean? But I've seen enough with my own two eyes to convince me a long time ago that ghosts
Yeah.
exist. From when I was a kid. I mean, I'm not insane. I've been checked out by psychologists. I've aced every test. I have great eyesight. I have great hearing. I know what I've seen. And I tell a lot of people that don't believe in ghosts, like, it's just a matter of time. Like, I think everybody in their lifetime has seen something and then just blew it off, like as if it was something else. But I think paranormal activity happens a lot more than people think. And they just were unsure of the circumstances and tried to come up with their own explanation.
Yeah.
Of course.
Well, it's a good way of looking at it, yeah. And we also we did a bit of research, and we found out that you were unfortunate enough to you thought that you were released from your ghost when you moved out, but it turns out it followed you.
Yeah, I thought I was released, as you say.
Must have liked you.
I was very disappointed because I really just thought for once I was just going to have a normal life going forward. But it wasn't until I bought that condominium in the old school from the 1800s that the paranormal activity got worse. It was just all the time. And, you know, it was like, oh my God,
Yeah.
here we go again.
And how did it start, like in your new house?
Oh, immediately. I mean, it was the first night I was on the phone talking to my boyfriend at the time, late at night, about 11 o'clock at night. And I just moved in and I was living there by myself. I didn't like roommates. And it was, I had you got to imagine it's a loft. So it's all exposed brick with huge windows that overlook Main Street in the city. And the master bedroom is way off to the side in a quiet, it's like actually in its own part of the building. The building's shaped like a T. So if you can imagine the lower half of the T being all the loft and the living room, and then the top part of the T is my bedroom area. So it's just completely cut off from the rest of the building. As I was speaking to my boyfriend at the time on the phone, I heard a loud bang. And my bedroom door had blown open so hard that it punched a hole in the drywall behind it. And I thought somebody was coming in to kill me. I screamed. I mean, naturally I screamed, and he's on the phone like, what? And I just lay there real still because I didn't know what to do. I couldn't see anything. It was pitch dark.
Yeah.
And it was really, really dark. And nothing happened. I finally turned on the light, and there was nobody there. Nothing. I mean, it was just nobody there. I can't explain what force possibly opened that door so hard that it damaged the wall. I'll never know. But it wasn't the wind, I'll tell you that.
I was supposed to say, man, you know, you could have these windy nights, you know, but guess not.
Well, you can. And here's the thing, and a lot of people have been to that place. A lot of paranormal investigators from television shows had been there, and Taps was there, and it's very loud. When you live on Main Street in the city, it was loud. I never, ever opened those giant windows, ever, because of the noise. And I had such central air conditioning, which I actually had on that night. So it wasn't the wind. There was no wind. And it would have been physically impossible. Remember that T-shape, you know, the bedroom and then the rest of the place. The bedroom was in its own part of the building. There's no way the wind could have opened the door that hard to damage the wall like that. There's just no way. You know, it's pretty interesting. I think that was the spirit's way of saying, hey, welcome. You know, we don't like you. We're going to have to figure out a way to get along here. But, yeah, there were a couple of things. Like shortly after that happened, I was locked out of my bathroom. I had to get several neighbors to assist me to get back into the bathroom because that was a real pain in the butt because I thought that the door was locked from behind, and I had to find a way to hammer off the doorknob, the very heavy brass doorknob in the bathroom door. And we did. We hammered off the doorknob and then had to get it off. But once we got the doorknob off, the door still wouldn't open. And there was a drawer of the bathroom vanity, the bathroom sink. A drawer was open all the way, preventing that door from opening in front of it. So I literally had to take a broom handle and push it through the hole where the doorknob used to be and try to shut the drawer behind the door so that we could open the door. How do you explain that? You can't even do that to yourself. Like, you can't. It's impossible. You can't open a bathroom drawer, part of the furniture, you know, and then try to close the door. There were things like that were happening all the time. And I finally said something out loud, like, this has to stop because now it's destructive. You know, it's already wrecked my bedroom wall, and I had to replace an entire bathroom. I had to hire somebody to put a new doorknob on me because what do I know at 21 years old? So,
yeah, I say that's a hard one to explain to an insurance company. A hole in the wall? That was the ghost.
Yeah. No, I mean, things like that just started happening, and it was more and more. So the more I got talking to the neighbors, they were all the neighbors in that building were like, yeah, we totally have ghosts. So, yeah, that was interesting. And I dealt with it for 20 years. I put up with that.
Jesus.
That's dodgy stuff.
Yeah.
And there were apparitions there.
Ghost
There were
insurance.
apparitions in that condo. People were seeing ghosts all the time when they came to visit us. All the time. Dog sitters, Oh yeah, people saw ghosts all the time when they came over, and the noises, the things that were moving, the locks locking on their own right in front of your face, banging on doors, flinging things around all the time. The condo was very active. I mean, my home was active growing up, but not nearly as active as the condo, the old school I lived in. And we found out when that TV show from A&E channel, Paranormal State, when they filmed at the condo, they did some research at the library and they had found out that before it was a school building, it was the town's first fire station, which nobody knew. Nobody in my building knew this. So there was a lot of energy there from not only being a fire station, but it was a school for 100 plus years.
That's mad.
Yeah.
That is crazy, like.
Yeah, well, it's not my problem anymore. So we sold
That's
it to
great.
a young couple, and the young couple was pissed. We got a phone call from the realtor the night before we were supposed to close on the loan, and the realtor said, "Your buyers are very upset. They found out that your condo was on TV, and they just found out it's haunted." And I said, "What do you want me to do about it?" And they're trying to get money off. Of course they were, and that wasn't going to happen. So they should have done their homework a lot sooner. I mean, they drove us nuts for months. So, that's on them.
Put
Yeah,
up with the ghost. You're
definitely.
just gonna. It's gonna break your
Yeah,
bathrooms. Get
you're gonna
over
have to
it.
live harmoniously with the ghost still.
I'll never forget. I watched this one with my girlfriend because I was really skeptical on ghosts for a long time. I kind of still am. Because people like to fake them, whatever. So it's
Yep.
hard to know. Like, but I was watching one with my girlfriend, and this guy he had this technique where he just kept asking the ghost to fight him or to hit him. He was just aggravating it. Like, he'd go to places where they had like a violent ghost or whatever, and he'd just start saying like, "Come on, you want to fight? You want to go?" I was
Yeah,
like, there's a
that's
reason this show went so well. People thought this guy was crazy.
was it an American show.
Yeah, it was American.
Let me guess, Ghost Adventures.
Might be
With
that.
Zach.
It's
Yeah,
like
that
three
it had
guys.
to. Yeah, that's Ghost Adventures.
Yeah, episode 1, I think. If he goes
That's
in.
something. That's definitely something that Zach would do. Try to fight a ghost, and it probably didn't happen, right?
Yeah, you're right. It's Ghost Adventures. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Episode 1, he just goes in. He started telling this thing to fight him. Like, oh
Well,
my
we
gosh.
consider that here. We consider that show here as prime entertainment. So
Absolutely.
it's like the Worldwide Wrestling Federation meets paranormal activity.
So, who do you think would win, him or the ghost?
A ghost,
Question.
probably. I don't know. It's just silly. It's just silly. I mean, nobody can actually challenge a ghost. We can't even get one to convince the rest of the world they exist. Never mind take on a fight with Zach Baggins.
I suppose, yeah.
Zach's a friend. I've known Zach many years. I've worked with him many times, but there was a difference with his show than the ones I've appeared on.
Oh,
So
yeah. We understand that you've appeared on, was it Ghost Hunters International?
yes, with the
Yeah.
Irishman, Barry.
Yeah. Sadly, now, I think you told us before that you didn't get to come to Ireland. They filmed a few episodes there, didn't they?
I didn't.
Your Wicklow, I think?
They did go there. But I quit the show before. I quit the show shortly before they all took off for New Zealand because I was sick as a dog, and I couldn't be gone for 6 weeks. So that was the end of my tenure with them. It was a very difficult job to do, but yeah, they did go to Ireland. I forget where it was. To be honest with you, I stopped watching the episodes after I had anything to do with it. But I do know that they
Thomas,
went
what are
there.
you doing?
Thomas,
I'm looking for the video. You don't meant to put up a video, right?
It's in the script.
It's in script. Awesome. Thank you.
well done, Thomas.
We just want to watch this guy challenging the
No,
ghost.
it's different. Put it into full screen. So put it on YouTube normal.
All right, Thomas, this is like the 5th time you've messed it up, so we're going to have to relieve you of your job.
In front of Steve yesterday and in front of Shannon today. What a guy.
Oh boy. Well, it's not a paying job, so you get what you pay for, right?
Fucking exactly. Thank you very much.
Ever get paying Thomas any attention?
Put it at 1 minute 33.
Don't tell me what to do. I'm kidding.
Oh
Right.
my god.
Thomas, shut up.
I couldn't find the actual like original for this, so
So this
Hey,
is
what
the
is-
closest you have.
yeah.
It's nice weather we're having today.
It's brilliant, isn't it?
Great. Yeah, awesome. Right.
Yeah.
Where'd that come up with a
We haven't had
load?
rain here in 2 weeks. We're dying.
Yeah.
Jeez.
We need rain. Pray for rain here in Massachusetts. All right. So I see the video.
Screaming every
Mm.
night
You probably won't be able to
at
hear
3
it.
a.m.
Oh,
I can hear it.
You guys can hear it? Awesome.
Okay.
This is the video?
Both videos. Got it.
Oh, jeez, it's so laggy. Sorry about this.
Laggy.
Yeah, very laggy, yeah.
I never heard
133, yeah?
Yeah.
Rock by Shannon. It's just so tough to like believe what you see on YouTube, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I watch this guy a lot, and this is the only one that's ever gotten me proper.
Okay.
So the kids are freaking out.
Wait, what?
So it's like there's something opening the door, but they're saying like, "Oh, there's no one there."
I see a person.
You can
Yeah.
see something there, definitely.
I mean,
Or it's like right behind them now, but they're saying there was no one there.
I don't know.
Twice
I don't know,
the
man.
cat
Oh, wait.
seems
Oh,
to appear near
right.
the door where someone arrives or leaves the apartment. It's almost as if the spirit just doesn't want someone new there. One night, Shane, Veronica, and another friend decide to conduct their own informal sort of seance.
I'm gonna keep playing it or just leave it at that?
No, that's.
Uh,
Yeah.
that
Is
kind
that
of
okay?
gets.
Yeah,
Oh,
I don't know, that could be really heavily edited.
I
You
didn't
never
even,
know
I
with that
didn't
kind
even
of stuff.
notice it at first, and then I was like, oh shit.
Seriously. Alright.
That's so. That's the only one that's ever gotten me proper. Because I
Yeah.
watch this guy pretty often.
I've never seen it before. I don't know. I don't trust anything on YouTube. I don't. Anybody can post videos that are, like he said, heavily edited. It's tough to trust it.
Yeah.
I don't trust a lot of shows out there, but I mean, I'd have to see it and ask around, ask some of my colleagues if they know who's writing these.
Of course.
I trust a video more than just a picture
Yeah.
because it's easier to edit a picture.
It's easier to edit a picture than it is a video, yeah.
Yeah, and then you got brilliant college kids that are doing things for class projects, and
Yeah.
but I've seen a lot of videos. People, the biggest problem with the photographs, I know it annoys you, but it annoys me tenfold because a lot of people submit photographs to me to tell them whether or not I think it's a ghost. And it's never a ghost. It's just a lot of it's just dust orbs, and then they get mad at me and block me on Facebook. So
Nice. Do you believe that orbs are ghosts? I don't. I just like.
what was the question?
Do you like people see like orbs, like light orbs, and they say it's a ghost? Do you believe that stuff?
I do, because I've actually, in that condominium that I lived in front of 2 other witnesses on 2 occasions, I had yellow-colored orbs flying across my living room in front of people, and they looked like tennis balls. That's the only thing I can do to describe it. I've seen them with my own eyes, and when I had my very first paranormal investigation done at my condo before I joined the team, Mike, he appeared on many episodes of Ghost Hunters on Sci-Fi. He photographed a multicolored orb floating around my spiral staircase. And it was different colors, red, blue, green. It was not a round shape. It was different. It was like a bunch of bubbles together, stuck together. And he took the photograph because he saw it with his own eyes. And then he decided to photograph it, and it came out on the film. So I do believe in orbs. But the dust orbs are very, very easily proven. People assume that there's no dust in their room when they're taking photographs when it's dark, and there's dust in every room. I don't care if you're at the biggest museum in the world. you still have dust. It's part of human nature to have dust. And when that dust is floating by a flash, the dust is not transparent. So the light from your flash of the camera bounces back to the camera's lens, and it illuminates it. And another problem is taking, I mean, it's common sense. And I tell people, if you don't believe me, go to your washing machine and your dryer and take out the lint screen and then put the lint screen back in, just shake it around a little bit, and then shut the lights off where your dryer is, shut the lights off, and then take a picture with your flash, and you'll find thousands and thousands of orbs flying around your haunted washroom. And it's just the camera flash bouncing back, and it illuminates on the lens of the camera because that dust is flying right by the lens. So it's very proven, very easy, but a lot of people don't want to hear it. They just believe it's a ghost. So it comes with experience and training. There's orbs out there though.
Yeah, that's. I could see that, like, because you do see it in a lot of like photos and videos that people are like, oh, it's an orb, and in some of them, like, the way it moves, it's kind of like, okay, yeah, I could see why that could be one, but
air moves in a room.
Yeah.
Air moves. Even if you have windows closed, there's always an airflow. And like you'll see a lot of those orbs in videos when there's a nursery, like a baby in the room, and you see something like white flying by. Absolutely just a piece of dust. And those cameras are infrared. So that infrared technology is beaming out a signal. That dust, it just happens to catch that piece of dust at the right angle, and it goes right back on the lens, and people think it's a spirit. And it's ridiculous. I mean, sometimes insects do the same thing. You'll see insects flying by, and they illuminate, and people are like, oh my God, it's a fairy. And I know how much you got fairies in Ireland. So I'm not going to bust on fairies. But I mean, a lot of insects, like people will take pictures of graveyards and gravestones, and they see like these giant winged creatures in front of their camera lens that are glowing white. And I have to laugh because, it's a bug. Yeah. So.
Or especially if you see them on security cameras and then like they dart off or something. People think it's like a ghost. And then when like a person goes nearby at roughly the same time and the ghost or the insect dashes away.
Yeah.
Cool coincidence.
I had a falling out with a good friend, a girl that I've known a long time, and she's actually a paranormal author. She makes up stories about ghosts, and she's followed my television shows throughout the years, and I kind of thought she knew better, but she posted a video that she took in her living room, and she thinks her house is haunted. And it was an insect flying around on the camera. And of course, all her friends like, oh my God, your house is so haunted. This is ridiculous. And I refrained from commenting because I didn't want to piss her off. So I went up on my own timeline and posted something about, illuminating bugs and ghosts and how scary they can be on camera. And she blew up and got so pissed at me, she blocked me. And it was just like, come on, I even told her in a private message, I said, common sense, Erin, come on, common sense. What are you thinking posting that crap, telling people your house is haunted? It was embarrassing. She knew better. But, I try to be nice.
Yeah, that's fair.
So we were looking as well, and we heard that you wrote a book. Was it Paranormal Unwrapped?
Yes. I actually there's a publisher, a very big publisher here in the United States, and they asked me if I would write a book with this author who I really enjoy. The author made incredible books. One of my favorite books of all time is a book called Devils and Demonology, and it was written by Katie Boyd. And Katie approached me and said, if you want, we have a book contract. So I wrote a book with her, and it was a lot of fun. We actually went to New Hampshire to a log cabin, just like Stephen King, and we wrote the book in a weekend. And it was a long weekend. I mean, it was a lot of writing. All the guys were downstairs drinking, and her and I were upstairs in the loft just typing away on our computers. And it's a great book. I mean, it talks a little bit about my experiences in the paranormal. It talks about her experiences in the paranormal. We talk about ghost hunting quite a bit, how to do it right. how to do it wrong, what kind of equipment to get, and then the book goes into cryptozoology. So we talk a little bit about the Mothman and chupacabra and all kinds of things out there in the woods and scary things. It's a great book for all, like, it's a great book all around for any kind of person. And
Yeah.
that was about I think 8 or 9 years ago, and they still sell. I have copies. I ship them out all the time. I sign them for people. And they're in bookstores. It's kind of cool to have a written book. I don't think I would write another book because you really don't make a lot of money on your book sales. You have to be a very well-known author to make a living off your books.
Yeah. So I was just going to ask there about the cryptozoology part. How much of that stuff do you believe in? I know, like, you believe in ghosts.
We've done a whole episode on that before.
We had a whole episode on cryptids and
Really?
What we believe
similar
and what we don't believe.
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, it's tough. A lot of people don't believe in something unless they've experienced it firsthand. I grew up in a neighborhood in my town in Massachusetts. My neighborhood was called Monsterland, and I lived there 21 years, and my neighborhood was famous for having these Sasquatch type sightings all over the place. It was a very heavily wooded area. And even the mayor of our town, who is still our mayor to this day, said that his best friend, who was the sheriff at the time, had experienced things firsthand. Very credible witnesses. And so I grew up already knowing about Sasquatch sightings, and believing it. And I went to the Mothman Museum in West Virginia, and it's quite fascinating. There's got to be something there. I mean, out of 250 witnesses, hundreds of people that say they saw the same thing. I mean, it's not a coincidence. I believe in ghosts because I've seen ghosts. I've heard them. I've felt them. I've had 2 UFO experiences. So, when it comes to cryptozoology, I'm a believer. I believe the chupacabra is just a really messed up dog thing, running around.
Yeah, I think they actually they discovered that it was a crossbreed between, I think, a coyote and then just wild dogs.
Yeah,
And
they kind of just proved that in the last couple of years, finally.
Yeah.
But I mean, people still are convinced that it had glowing red eyes and blah 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 blah.
Yeah, so but anything that you point a camera flash at in the dark has glowing red eyes.
Yeah, and then that can happen. We've all had pets that we took pictures of, and the pet looked possessed. Explanation for things. There's always an explanation for things, but I am a believer in cryptozoology. I interviewed Cliff Barackman, who is one of the country's leading Sasquatch researchers, and he said that they found in Seattle, Washington, and the woods of Oregon as well, they found monkey DNA. It closely resembles monkey DNA, but it's not monkey DNA. It's the closest resemblance of ape-like DNA. And he said, why is that in Oregon? There's no monkeys out there.
Yeah, that is sort of strange.
There's people.
How do you explain some of that? That was some of the tufts of hair that they found up against the trees that they analyzed. So, unless there's an escapee monkey out there that's, tall, he explained it a little bit. You see a zebra in the middle of in Oregon, that's kind of weird, but it's just as weird as seeing a monkey. So he had a really good explanation for all that. So just because we haven't seen it with our own 2 eyes doesn't mean it doesn't exist.
Of course, yeah. And I think one of the biggest things that we talked about or like kind of debated about in our cryptids episode was about the Loch Ness Monster. What do you think of that?
Yes. And when I was in Scotland, I was really sad that we couldn't at least get over just a glimpse of the lake. That would have been really cool to have at least seen.
It's big.
What do you guys
think?
Big.
I was at the Loch. I don't think there's something like that in there, to be honest.
You don't?
Yeah, I kind of agree with that. I feel like the worst thing that probably happened was, you see the photo down there at the bottom, like the most famous Loch Ness photo.
Yeah, of course.
That was debunked. So, and that was like the first proper picture of it. So like the first sighting of something, and it was debunked. I think that's kind of fair to believe that it's a hoax.
Look at this. These pictures are all from a day ago. Just like we're talking about
Wait,
it now.
what?
So apparently this person claimed they saw it.
It's a fish.
That just looks like a huge fish.
Yeah, it looks like a
Yeah.
fish, right? Look, that's even a
mean-
branch there. That looks so close
Yeah,
compared
but
to
look,
like.
look the picture beneath it. That's further zoomed out. Or one even more zoomed out beneath that as well.
That one's been debunked. It was like a boat, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a no, it was some I think some dentist and
Yo.
a photographer for a paper. They
Yeah.
both like, oh yeah, we want to make a bunch of money, so we're gonna like put this. It was like a toy submarine, I think, and they taped a piece of driftwood to it, or like screwed it into it, and put it out there and kind of like uh, drove it out into the middle and then took the picture,
Oh,
and then they made money off of it.
Well, that's what they
That's-
say. Yeah, here's my take. You know what? If that thing was real, all the technology that we have here in 2020 and all the times that the people have gone over there with radar and trying to find something, they can't. It's kind of like Sasquatch. Like there's so many people out there trying to find this thing and they can't. I don't know. Like why can't they find any evidence of a Nessie monster? There's no carcass that
Yeah.
floats ashore. In all these years, nobody can find a single shred of evidence of a sea monster. Now, I do
And it's a
believe,
closed body of water.
well, I mean, it could be what's it called, a plesiosaurus or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jesus.
It could be it could be a remnant of an ancient dinosaur still floating around. I mean, that's not
Yeah.
impossible.
could
That's
be
what I
like could be
think
a
of when
big
I-
catfish, you know.
Could be. That's what I think of when we talk about it, because I talk on this show we talk a lot about extinct things or the dinosaurs, stuff like that.
Yep.
Like they used to all be part of this big group called the Archosaurs, and the only survivors after the KT extinction was crocodiles and birds. So I find it a little bit hard to believe that like something else didn't survive, even in a small population somewhere. And I feel like a lot of cryptids could be something like that. I know there's one from the Congo. They think like a what's
Oh,
it called,
yeah.
like Mokle memble or something. They think some kind of sauropod survived, and they killed it and ate it or something.
Really? They ate it?
Apparently, like I believe something might have survived. Like, is it hard to believe like a marine reptile still out there somewhere?
Of course there are. I mean, of course there are. They discover new species in the deep ocean all the time.
Yeah.
They discover these species that are saying they could say should have been extinct a million years ago. Oh my God, we just pulled one up. It happens. It absolutely happens. I mean, maybe that's where this whole thing in Scotland came from. I mean, who knows back then? But like, how long is this thing gonna live for? They haven't found a dead anything, or unless it just decayed and sank to the bottom of the lake, which you say is pretty big.
And like it has to be a part of a species. There can't just be like one has survived for millions of years. It has to be like a population of a species that's been hiring very well so far.
I have to agree with that. It's tough for me to say. I mean, I can't sit here and say no, it doesn't exist. What do I know? I haven't done any research.
Yeah.
But I mean, I can say that I've seen my share of ghosts. And thank God that it's happened with lots of witnesses, so I'm not crazy.
Yeah.
What was your scariest paranormal experience?
I had a few. And a lot of them were while I was traveling on the road. I was in Italy filming the pilot episode, and that was the second week we were ever filming. The first week was Scotland, and we were in an old monastery that was built in 1100, so 1,000-year-old monastery. And there was a time where they split the team up in the pitch dark room, huge cathedral, and we all had to stand on a certain part of the cathedral, and I was standing on one part and I could see it. It was very, very tall and big. It was the shape of a human, but big. I mean, this thing was like 7 feet tall. And it was very dark in there. You couldn't see your hand in front of your face. But a lot of times I've noticed in scenarios like that where there's no electricity in these buildings, there's only natural moonlight on the outside, there's no excessive lighting. it gets dark in these places, and this 7-foot tall thing was standing to my right. So we were filming, and I started to very slowly walk to the left just to get away from it. And the Irish guy, of course, Barry, I hear him from across the room. He goes, Shannon, why did you just walk away? And I didn't know he knew. And that's what I said. I'm like, how'd you know? And he says, I can hear you moving. And he said there was something standing next to you, wasn't there? And I'm like flipping out, like, how did Barry know? Because I didn't say a damn word on television. I wasn't one of those investigators like, oh my God, there's something there. I was the opposite. Seeing things left and right, and I was shutting my damn mouth because I didn't want anyone to make fun of me and tell me I was wrong. And I said to Barry, I'm like, what do you mean? Like, how did you know? And he said, because I could see it too. I'm like, why didn't you tell me? He told me this after filming was over. And I'm like, why didn't you say something? He goes, because I wanted to see what you were going to do. It's a chess game when you're filming. You don't know how your teammates are going to react. And you always have to think ahead and try to think of the scenarios and the consequences. It's very difficult to film for TV sometimes. And it would absolutely frighten me because I knew, I could feel it. I had goosebumps. You can feel that feeling, that eerie feeling when something's next to you. That was one thing. And another time was after that, we ended up in Wales, a town called Aberystwyth. And we moved into a motel, like a bed and breakfast for the week for filming. And I sat all of my belongings on a wall, and my computer and my luggage and my jacket, and we were waiting to check into the hotel. And the cast and crew were making fun of me. They said, you might not want to put your stuff right there on the wall because somebody died there last night. I'm like, shut up. Of course, I turn around and look, and my jacket, my computer, it was all on top of a stone wall that had dark red blood just dripping all the way down the wall. And I was like, come on, like, shut up. They were always teasing me because I was new. And they said, no, seriously, like a college kid was walking the wall the night before we got there, and he fell and hit his head and smashed his head open on the wall. And I got a picture of it. I took a picture of it. You could see it was just god awful. I can't believe I didn't see that when I put my stuff down. And I went inside the bed and breakfast, and the manager told me that indeed a young man had died the night before right there on the wall. I couldn't believe it. I was like, oh my God, I thought they were kidding with me. And I'm like, why didn't they clean the blood up? I mean, the blood is still there. I couldn't believe it. Like, if this was the United States, all that blood would have been gone, but they just kept it there. And that wasn't the scary part. The scary part was that evening that we checked into the hotel. We had been investigating all night long. And I got back to the room about 4 a.m. I was really trying to sleep, but the light was starting to come through the window, and you take forever to go to sleep. I mean, you're up all night. You've had coffee. And I saw things running around my room that I wish I hadn't seen. And I saw something extremely black, and it kept cloaking over my eyes. It was as if somebody took a black blanket and threw it over your head and then pulled it back up. And I'm rubbing my eyes. I'm like, oh my God, I must be overtired. This thing, I keep seeing this. It kept happening. And then something white ran by the base, right by my bed. It was the height of my bed that I was laying in. So something white just went bloop, it went from the right to the left, right by me. And I'm like, oh my dear God. So I got up screaming. I ran out of my hotel room, banging on the door next to me, got one of my cast members up, and she came to the door with those covers over her eyes that help, the mask to help you sleep. And she's like, what? And I told her what was going on. She's like, oh my God. So she goes, let's go get Barry. So we went all the way down the hall and knocked on Barry's door. Barry, the Irishman, comes over with his UV light and a pair of rosary beads. And, he said, keep this by your bed. The UV light will keep you safe. And Donna said a prayer with her rosary beads. And they didn't really know what to do. There was no way I was getting back to sleep after that. There was no way. But I do firmly believe that it might have had something to do with that boy that died. I don't know why me. I don't know why.
That's crazy to think about. Like,
I had to sleep in that room a few nights, but it only happened that first night. Nothing happened the other nights. I was terrified.
I would be too.
Yeah.
Like, that's
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll never be able to explain that. I really thought I was just tired, overtired, like I need sleep. But when you see something like that, and I kept laying in bed going, all right, if this happens one more time, I'm out of here. And I was out of there. I was out of there. Yeah, that was it for me because it just kept happening over and over again. So, yeah.
well,
But yeah, I mean,
that's
a lot of things. I've seen a lot of things. I've had a lot of scary scenarios, but in the end, you're always okay. Nothing's ever hurt me.
yeah,
It's just scared me.
yeah. I could definitely see why.
Yeah,
Well,
it's very rare to get
have you
hurt.
had
That's on TV and in the movies.
Have you had any paranormal experiences, lads?
No.
No.
I mean, like,
Did I?
one of Ireland's most haunted castles is in Offaly, so it's where we live.
Where are you talking about Charles Glass Castle or?
What's it called again? We should probably go down to it sometime.
Not Kennedy, is it?
Just look up Ireland's most haunted castle. Leap Castle, that's it.
Oh yeah, I think that's where they went. I think that's where my cast went. That sounds really familiar to me.
Yeah.
It's Leip, Thomas.
That's
LEAP.
Is it? No, it's Leip. Yep.
you got it right. No, that's
Have not been.
First time he's got it right. No.
And you
Yes,
have been there.
Because that place doesn't look fucking haunted. Jesus Christ, look at it.
yeah. There's a lot of ruins around Offaly, from old places and stuff like that. It'd be really interesting.
Yeah, that image of the castle is what they used on the DVD cover for all the promo shots
Oh.
for for Ghost Hunters International. But I never actually saw it.
Do you think you're ever going to get back involved in another TV series?
I don't know. I can't say no. I mean, I didn't know that I was going to do one last year. That kind of was a surprise. I don't know. I mean, I don't think I would get involved in another television series because now I have a family. I've got a husband and I have farm animals to take care of and a life back at home. I mean, being on the road is very taxing. It definitely doesn't pay very well. So I don't know. If I were to do something again, it'd probably most likely be like what I did for Travel Channel, is another guest spot. Or I'd love to do a like a commentary on another TV show, like be an expert testimony. That would be kind of cool to do.
That would be kind of cool, yeah.
Yeah, and it's just like a one-day deal. You fly out somewhere and then fly back. I've said no to a few adventures in the past just because it's just not going to fit into my lifestyle anymore. But
do you regret any of the times you said no to doing one?
No. I mean, I always wanted to be part of an episode for Bobby Mackey's Country Music World in Kentucky. And they called me and wanted me to be part of the episode travel or the TV show called A Haunting. And they, on the phone during the interview, they said, we want you to tell the people that dust orbs are really ghosts. And I said, no, I'm not going to, because my name is on the line here. I can't do that. That's the worst thing you could do to me, is get me to say something like that on camera. And so
I think it's kind of bad out if they say, okay, we need you to say this. Like if we asked you to say something like that, that'd be disgraceful.
They flat out said that to me. I was very vocal about it. I told people, I said, I'm not going to sell out. And they said, do you know anybody else that would be part of the episode? Today I do. So my friend Eric that investigated several times with me at that haunted bar, I called Eric and I said, are you interested in doing this? But you're going to have to say this. He goes, oh my God, I'll do it. I really would want to do it. And then he did. He said it. Well, I mean, it didn't ruin our friendship. I understood. He had never been on television before. It was an incredible opportunity for him.
No, that's great.
But he did. Yeah, he's the one that sold out a little bit there. But I have no regrets. I have no regrets. I'm not going to go and say something that all my other colleagues will laugh at me about.
Yeah.
No, I've been doing this way too long. I'm not gonna. I don't need to be on TV that bad that I have to lie to people. I know that people that won't say that. So
Yeah. Well,
it's just
good
yeah,
thing
it's
you
just
didn't
television.
tell anyway.
It's about respect. You know,
Oh, yeah.
I'm from a different generation. I've worked with a lot of people that fake stuff, and I don't work with them anymore. That's not. You don't want to fake stuff. You don't want to fake pictures and fake vocals and fake
Yeah.
sightings. You just look like a turd.
Well, yeah.
Hmm.
That's.
I
Well,
think we covered everything today, have we?
I think we have, yeah.
Unless, do you have any other stories you want to tell us about?
Well, I mean, kind of everything in a nutshell here has been covered, and I don't know. I mean, yeah, I'm just I've seen a lot of things. I mean, a lot of people do come to me for advice. I love talking to people. So if anybody listening wants to find me on Twitter or Facebook or Instagram, I'm easily findable. And
Yeah, we'll leave you links.
yeah, you can leave links, and I love answering questions. And yes, I'll look at your dumb orb pictures. Just
I would I
we'll
would
see if
tell
you're
my
listening to the show when the pictures.
paranormal story, but I think I've told it at least 3 times on the podcast, and
It's not
each
good.
time it's just been
It's
completely
not.
anticlimactic.
Yeah, shit.
It's a great story,
Listen,
Dara.
it happened
We
at a
believe
wake.
you.
It happened at a wake, all right. So
Oh,
I'm a firm believer.
What a
No,
guy.
it's all right. I'm gonna tell it, right? But like,
I'm embarrassed for you already.
yeah,
oh
I'm
no.
embarrassed myself. It's not that good of a story, but I was at a wake a few years ago of a family member, and everyone was downstairs, and I was making tea for everyone, and so I was the only person upstairs, and so there was like food all over the table and like empty cups and stuff, and out of the corner of my eye, I saw.
You cut off
Yeah.
there.
Oh God, hold on.
Maybe the ghost
still hear
didn't want us to hear the story. Ooh.
Can you still hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, we hear you.
Anyway, what happened was, it was like, so then I went back to making tea. I kind of ignored it, and then I looked again, and I caught it this time, and a sandwich fell over.
At a wake.
That's the story.
You know what though? I believe you because I swear to God, I gotta say this real quick. When I was in Italy filming, we took a break for lunch and it was sandwiches, and I was sitting with Barry at the table, and we both watched a sandwich move on its own across the table. I swear to God, like so
Wow.
we both have a haunted sandwich story.
Boom. My story is credible now, boys.
Oh, I believe you because you just totally reminded me of that. Yeah, that's when Barry took the tinfoil off the sandwich and made a hat out of it, and he wore the hat. We have pictures of him and I wearing the hats because of that Mel Gibson movie, Aliens, whatever. Signs,
Yeah.
the movie was Signs.
Yeah.
I believe that. I absolutely do. So ghosts are hungry
Oh.
too. You know, you've heard of the Japanese ghosts. You have to feed them in order to have good luck, or they're going to get angry. Ghosts
Yeah.
get hungry.
Do you think ghosts are different
Well,
between different cultures?
all I have to say is fuck you, boys, because now it's real.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You convinced
Yeah,
me.
you can say that. I just validated your story. You know, I do think that ghosts can be different based on the culture. I mean, if you died and you became a ghost, you would be one way. And if you lived halfway across the world and you died and you became a ghost, you would be another way. You
Exactly,
take
yeah.
your characteristics with you. You take your beliefs with you. You take your thoughts with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People are different. And it's just like God, you know, God's really just one big thing, but cultures perceive God in different ways, like Buddha and Jesus Christ. And oh yeah, that's a whole other conversation. But I do believe that can be different in different cultures. Absolutely.
Well, damn.
Uh-huh.
Thank you for confirming my story.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's
Just
pretty
stop,
cool.
would you?
It's gonna be the last time he tells that story. I think we just laid it to rest.
Right.
So,
Thank you for
thanks to
I
everyone
appreciate it.
for watching. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, tell your grandma.
And thank you for coming
know,
on chatting as well.
We'll link below everything if you want to check out Shannon.
Which
and
you
her
should.
spooky stuff. So take her handy.
Have a good
Thank
day.
you, guys. Have a good one.